Up next in this very hall, we'd like to begin with our next session on unleashing the power of artificial intelligence. And joining us as our next speaker right here on stage is Joergen Jakobsen, Director at Galaxy Office Automation. May I request all of you to please put your hands together as our next speaker joins us here on stage, bringing with him a very, very wide experience in the field of artificial intelligence. Welcome, sir. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning. It's great to be back in Mumbai. So I live in Singapore, but I arrived last night late on the Singapore Airline flights coming in around 11. And it always reminds me when you get to the airport in Mumbai, what a vibrant and busy city. And Mumbai is really amazing. But one of the things Mumbai still needs to find a way to solve is I staying in a hotel like 10 minutes away from the airport, and it still takes me half an hour to get there. So vibrant and busy for sure. So I'm going to talk mainly about three things this morning. I'm going to share with you a customer survey that Galaxy did very recently, and the insight from that survey, which was very, very interesting. Then I'm going to talk about what are some of the key takeaways from that and how Galaxy can help. And I'm going to end off with a very specific offer to the audiences here if you would like Galaxy to get involved in your AI journey. But before I go ahead, so I'm an independent director at Galaxy. Some of you probably know Galaxy, and some of you might not know Galaxy. Just a little overview about Galaxy. Galaxy have been in business for 36 years, have been helping a lot of customers through various areas of technology in terms of digital transformation. One of the largest solution providers in India, 9 offices, 8 in India and 1 in Singapore, and have been involved in all kinds of technologies and across many, many industries. So that gives you a little bit of a brief of what Galaxy is about. Today we're going to talk about technology and the change in technology. As you all know, technology is evolving ever faster. And this is a little bit of view maybe over the last 5 decades of key technologies that have come into our world. I try to put them in a time where I believe they kind of became pervasive. It's not necessarily where maybe they were invented, but where they became pervasive and adopted and used by a lot of companies and individuals across the world. And I started with a personal computer in the 80s. What was probably the main catalyst that really made that broadly available was the IBM PC in the early 80s. And companies today have adopted and run on computer systems all over the world. Moved to the internet in the 90s, and the internet became available, announced out of the CERN Institute in Switzerland, and became available, and everybody uses internet for everything you do. Mobile computing really started to accelerate in the year 2000s because the mobile phone got connected to the internet. Mobile phone existed before that, but got connected to the internet, became smartphones. As well as from a catalyst point of view, the iPhone was introduced in 2007. And obviously a lot of different brands are now available, readily available. Everybody's connected on the internet all the time. Now, a lot of other devices then got onto internet as well. And we got the Internet of Things. We talked about the smart toilet earlier this morning. Everything becomes smart. Everything gets connected to the internet, can communicate, use compute power either within the device or communicate over the cloud. So everything is now interconnected, and you have the Internet of Things. And actually a number of years ago, as the speaker from KPMG rightly said, AI came around through machine learning in the beginning. But I'm mainly putting AI actually in this decade, because I think the main catalyst that really captured the imagination of people was on the 30th of November 2022, so almost 2 years ago, where ChatGPT got announced. And people could really relate to the new form of engagement between AI agents and individuals, which was very different from what the world has seen before, because it became humanized in a way it could communicate to all kinds of people, contextualized in the way it communicates as well. So today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and how we believe it's going to change the world. You've seen a lot of different use cases and examples. I'm not going to dive into a lot of them, but I will talk a bit about how I think you might want to think about how you adopt AI as well, based on experience we have. As I said early on, we just completed within the last 3 months customer surveys that were specifically only in India. So around 100 companies in India, where we did a survey with a CXO level of people about how do they look at artificial intelligence from a strategy point of view, implementation point of view. That was across different sizes of companies and pretty much across all industries. And I want to share with you, which is the first time we're sharing that, is what are some of the results. Compared to the earlier survey, there was maybe a reference. This was very recent and in India. And on what would be your left side of the slides, some of the key highlights from the survey is that, and maybe not surprising, India typically is fast of adopting technology. India is quite creative in the way new solutions are being formed. And around AI, the feedback we got from the survey is 96% believes it's very important to have an AI roadmap. And the reason they believe that is more or less as many believe that AI will be essential to the future of their company. So they know AI have the potential to transform the company, transform the industry, make new winners and losers in industries depending on how you adopt some of these new technologies. And what was maybe more interesting as well is around 70% are willing to invest and have budgets assigned. So it's not just hype and we're interested, but actually people are looking to spend money to implement AI solutions. Now the other side of the survey is AI is difficult as well. And there's been some talk about it. How do we get the right type of talent that can actually help identify what are the use cases one should apply AI to? We heard many examples this morning. You could almost think of any problem today and you can apply AI to it. So where do you start and how do you actually get it done? After figuring out where you start, how do you actually plan for it, develop it, implement it, integrate it into your current IT solution, making sure it fits with governance and regulatory aspects as they exist and evolve in the future. Make sure they're linked into your cybersecurity network, because a lot of it we talk about data and large language model that runs on big seas of data, some that are internal, some that are external. How do you go about doing it? It's not so easy. Everybody can increasingly see the vision and how it can contribute, but how do you do it? And a lot of companies are asking for help around that. One big area relates to data. As you know, AI is an agent that improves as it learns based on data. So how do you structure your data? How do you structure both, I would say, the standardized data you have in the company, but also the non-standardized data that grows across various different data formats? So that's a key challenge for companies. As well as I said, you can deploy and probably apply AI in many different contexts. But how do you start? Do you start on things that are very, very big? I think most of us will probably think that AI will be around for decades and will continue to evolve. But where do you start? Do you start on something really big that transforms your whole company? Do you start on something very small? And what's the best approach on prioritizing that and investing for AI if you want to be successful? The key takeaways we had from the survey is customers are looking for getting an outcome related to AI, mainly in 3 areas. The first one relates to customers. How do you personalize your engagement with customers? How do you create new solutions for customers that now AI allows you to do? And all of that, from a company point of view, talks to how do you actually scale revenue, become better with your customers, expand into new customers, expand into new solutions that are maybe adjacent to what you already do today. So one area is really around the whole customer area and revenue generation. The other area that is very big with AI for many customers is about how do you actually make your company run more effectively? Can you optimize and automate certain processes and systems that you could do it much faster, much better, with lower cost, make your employees more productive than what they were earlier on, using some of those new tools and processes. That's another key, I would say, bucket that people are looking at. The third area goes around cost. Can you do things with technology by which you can take out maybe tasks done by employees, and you can then use those employees to do other things, maybe drive more revenue? But how can you do things now in a way you automate it that you directly take cost out of the system? And AI, in fact, can address all three of those areas. And we see different companies are focusing on different areas. We see companies that are focusing on all three of them. Certain elements of AI have the potential to address maybe two or maybe actually three aspects within one use case, within one AI model. But as I talked about before, readiness is critical. People like to engage. There are challenges about how you do it. And these are areas that within Galaxy, over the last few years, we started to invest into heavily. As I said in the beginning, Galaxy has been around for 36 years, so gone through a lot of different technology transitions. And AI, we believe, is going to be one of the biggest opportunities and challenges companies are having. So within Galaxy, we've been investing in how do we help our customers to be successful with AI transformations. And some of that links to having people that can help our customers plan for AI, run discovery workshops, help customers understand what are things that you can probably do today with current technologies, what are things you might not want to do today, you want to wait because there's new technologies coming that might be cheaper and better than what it has today. AI will continue to evolve, obviously, as different vendors bring new capability to market. So a lot of this is around the planning aspects. But when you find out what are the use cases you want to address, what are the pain points you think you can address, how do you then go about doing it? How do you develop an AI model? How do you deploy the AI model? How do you make sure that AI model runs within your IT infrastructure, being it on-prem, being it in the cloud, being in a hybrid environment? How do you make sure it's actually secure as you're now starting to use a lot of data that you maybe are setting up in new ways so you can have a learning model on top of these data? Some of these things, given Galaxy has been involved in the technology industry for many, many years, been involved in the solutions infrastructure of many companies, we know how to implement technologies into current infrastructures and how to evolve it. The other thing is, what we hear from a lot of customers, including in the survey, is it's difficult to get talent. Galaxy has been investing in talent, both from a technical point of view, as well as from a more strategic point of view to help out on that. Galaxy has been investing in technology, tools, and infrastructure that helps you build POCs and help you deploy some of these things as well. And all of that can be done both in on-prem as well as in the cloud. And not to forget, Galaxy has developed and invested in a number of partnerships. So in Galaxy, we work with a number of IT solutions providers, both very large global companies, but also very specific companies that are kind of born in the AI area, that live and breathe around solutioning. And we're able to bring some of that together that we can help you with as you're going forward with an AI journey. Now, I thought it's important to talk a bit about the approach when you look to deploy AI. So I said earlier on, this is going to be a trend that is going to last probably for multi-decades. But how do you think about it? And probably one of the ways we would like to think about it is, at the same time, simultaneously, think about this as long-term strategic. So in some extent, think about this as a marathon. This is not something you're going to finish with next year. This is something that's going to take many years. However, as you think about as a long-term perspective, don't execute long-term, execute short-term. Be very specific, understand your pain points, develop use cases that are very specific, and think short-term. So to some extent, yes, AI is a marathon, it's a long-term undertaking, but it's sprints where you look at very short-term solving issues today. And the reason we advise you should think short-term and very specific is technologies will continue to evolve. So today, there's certain capabilities. You probably all know a lot of the underlying infrastructures are expensive today. If you looked at the latest GPU pricing on NVIDIA chips as an example, as these things grows in terms of scale, the cost structure starts to come down. So new use cases, new solutions become cheaper over time. New technologies will evolve. A lot of things today are mainly happening on servers in a centralized manner, where you set up the large language models, you do the learning, and so on. But increasingly, you're going to see that out on edge devices. You'll see today, if you come to our booth, you'll see edge devices that obviously have CPUs and GPUs, but now also NPUs. So you actually can run a certain part of it in a client server mode when you're looking to run some of the AI models, which becomes much more decentralized, so new technologies, new capabilities, but also becomes more affordable. So think about what you want to do, think about when you want to do it, and be very specific of doing things short term. The other reason you want to do it short term is, and some of your earlier speakers talked about, is ROI. How do you define ROI if it's something very long-term, quite complex, and not necessarily well-defined? We recommend that you think of things that are specific pain points, specific use cases you implement, and you'll have a much better way of understanding what's the cost to do it, but also what is the ROI you can get for very specific use cases you might look at. But at the same time, it's not just going to be one sprint. As I said before, think strategic, but act more tactical short term. But think about this as a relay race. You're going to have many, many sprints because it's going to take a long time to transform your business over time. Some of those sprints might be sequential. That's maybe you wait for technology and cost curves to be more advantageous to you. But some sprints you might actually run in parallel as well because you want to transform certain business processes faster. But I think a good way of thinking about this is this long-term dynamics with a very short-term execution. Let me mention an example as you think about it from a philosophy point of view. So I lived in Singapore for many years, and I'm based in Singapore. One of the most successful companies in Singapore that has deployed AI is the largest bank in Singapore, which you might know. I know they're in India as well, DBS Bank. They actually, Harvard Business School just made a case study, and that came out this month, actually in September, about how DBS Bank went about doing AI implementation over a number of years. And at the moment, if you think about this, just step back for a second, they now currently have 800 AI model deployed across 350 use cases, coming back to very specific sprints, very specific issue statements and use cases that has been deployed. The CEO, Piyush Gupta, has said that he believes the economic value of what they have implemented will probably reach around 1 billion Singapore dollar by 2025. So all of these things collectively are coming together. However, it transformed the company in very significant ways. As you all know, DBS is a bank. If you hear Piyush Gupta talk, he called himself now a technology company that happens to be in financial services. They actually have more IT and technology people employed than they have bankers employed now in DBS, because a lot of journeys, customer journeys or employee journeys when they do their task, they reimagine those, thinking about this from a technology point of view. One of the key mantras they used many things because change management is probably one of the most critical things that I'm not going to have time to talk about today. But how do you think about your vision? How do you do change management? How do you get people on board? But one of the things they often did, when they had an issue, the thinking was always, and they use that kind of as a standard gimmick a bit, is what would Jeff have done? Now, they didn't look to other banks to get ideas. Jeff was the name for Jeff Bezos. How would Jeff Bezos have solved this issue? Think about from a technology point of view, from an AI point of view. So increasingly, they started to deploy a technology way of thinking. They created a number of different organizational units that were co-led by a business person, often a banker, and a technology person to create new solutions for the bank. Now, I'm going to end up talking about a specific offer for the audience that are here today. Okay, and if you're interested, you can actually already claim it off this QR code that you see on the screen. Because a number of customers want to get going with AI, but they also know it's challenging. So from Galaxy, we are offering to help out with that. So for the first 10 customers that want to sign up for that, we're providing a very specific offer at this conference. And the offer is basically for 50,000 rupee that the Galaxy expert will run a discovery workshop with your team for 8 hours about identifying what are some of the key pain points, what are some of the use cases you might want to consider deploying AI to. The Galaxy team will then go away and spend 16 hours of the experts on how to actually define the use case, how to think about the ROI, what is the cost and what is the benefit this could potentially bring. And if you're interested in taking on that use case, there will be, for the first proof of concept, a discount on developing and implementing that proof of concept of 50%, as well as be free of cost to use the GPU usage and the tools that they're doing to implement that. So if any of you are interested in getting the help of Galaxy on specific use cases you might have in mind or specific issues you might want to solve, that could be an opportunity for you to get going around that. Now, in summary, what I would say, AI is going to transform all industries, all companies, in all countries. And it's happening now. I just mentioned the example of DBS Bank as an example. A lot of them are, more or less all companies are implementing in some form or shape AI. If you need help in your journey, Galaxy is here to help, to make it more successful and maybe more frictionless and more risk-free in leveraging some of the expertise and technologies that Galaxy has. So with that, I want to thank you all. I hope that you will have a chance to come by. We have Galaxy has a booth out here in the lobby. It also gives you an opportunity potentially to sign up with solutions, but you're also going to see out at the booth specific use cases that are developed, that are implemented by Galaxy and some of Galaxy partners. So if you're interested, there's a whole range of AI solutions on display at that booth. If you're interested, to have a look at some of those and get inspiration about what can be done today, what is already implemented today. So with that, thanks a lot, and I hope to see you around. Thank you.